Today we wanted to talk about fear of recurrence in individuals experiencing a breast cancer diagnosis. And we discovered some research articles around the idea and just wanted to kind of explore some of what the tips are and how do we apply them. Number one, the research article that Nahea found was talking about social support, and how important that is in coping with the fear of recurrence. So did y'all have any thoughts on what you've heard from members, or after reading the article?
I think that here for the girls, they offer group support, one-on-one individual support, and I really think that they have nailed it basically as far as what to provide to fill or to address those fears, because of the social support that they have, even down to their, I don't know if to call it a mascot, but the elephant, because when one is sick, the other elephants gather around them for support. So I think that participating in group is a huge thing to kind of combat fear of recurrence.
Yeah, that's a good point. I love the elephant. That's a lot. So then kind of moving on, we also found Caring Bridge posted a bunch of tips, and some of them may be more helpful than others. But the first one was focusing on things within your control, which I think that's a really great skill to develop in life in general. It helps focus on the present moment. And then also, obviously there's a medical trauma involved in a cancer diagnosis. And so I think members need to be able to feel whatever they are going to feel. Obviously, you can't just push away your reactions or your feelings, but in learning to focus on things that you can control, that can help. I think that is a good advice for helping to cope with anxieties in general. Another one was making new memories with loved ones. And that's, I can see how that could be challenging, but also good advice. And then their third tip, which I thought was really interesting, is it can be a real challenge, is build relationships with your medical professionals. And that can be its own barrier, I think, right? To peace of mind, to trust. And so, whether it's through self-advocacy or having someone advocate for each individual, like building those relationships, I can see how that would be beneficial. In that, and if anybody has anything to add, any response, and
I think in connection with that one, I can see the benefits of talking to a medical professional, even your own doctor, about the fears that you have, and they can, from a medical standpoint, I guess, share information with you to address that fear that some members may be feeling, and kind of look at it in that sense. I could see how it could be beneficial.
So like knowledge, the more knowledge you have, that makes sense too. Carrying Bridges number 4 is try not to dwell on negative thoughts. And, that's maybe easier said than done. It's a nice idea.
In theory.
In theory.
Yes.
But, I don't necessarily agree with that as a prescription, essentially.
Right.
I
think that, I know I am not a fan of, that saying either, but I understand where it's coming from. From a social work perspective, we use cognitive behavioral therapy to address distorted thoughts, and our feelings control our thoughts, and thoughts control or influence behaviors. So if you're feeling and thinking a lot of negative thoughts, it may dictate whether you keep your appointments to get the professional advice, or other things that would, or not participate in things that would help you with any fears that you may have.
That's a really good point. That also, I think, nicely leads into their tip number 5, which is practice prayer, meditations, and affirmations. So, whether you are have religious beliefs or are just putting out your meditations into the universe, and affirmations, self-affirmations, you can find online, like daily affirmations. I think that those are so wonderful. And I see a lot of people saying like, oh, practice meditation, without giving you a link to a guided meditation or tips on how to meditate. And so I really appreciate like YouTube for that. You can just go on YouTube and Google, Google, search on YouTube for guided meditations. And with the amount of minutes that you have, 5-minute guided meditation, 15-minute guided meditation, and you can just listen to that. And I find that they really help me in general, and are a really valuable resource. And there's what I like about that too, is that there's a wide variety. So if you don't like the sound of someone's voice, you can choose someone else. And then number 6 is to set small, achievable goals, which again seems like life guidance. But maybe that means like I'm going to try to stop thinking about this thing that is causing me anxiety once a day. I'm going to, and increase that kind of thing, like just setting those goals. Or it can also be self-care goals of ways in which, wanting to do this thing for myself that is going to make me feel better.
I was just about to say that, because I feel like when I hear setting goals, it's very intimidating to me. And it wasn't until someone told me that the goals are just for you, and so they can look any way that you want them to. And so it's completely geared towards what suits you best.
I love that.
Yeah, me too. I like that.
Yeah. And then their final tip is to journal through your thoughts. And I think that can be so helpful in your journey, and any journey. There are books that give you journaling prompts. If a person is not like a natural writer or doesn't know how to get started on journaling, There are books you can get that have prompts. There are ones you can find online, I believe. There are activities I know that, we've seen Melissa use that are journaling activities that I've found so helpful. So I think it's really about, for our members, everybody just finding what works to the individual, because everybody is an individual and everyone's cancer journey is individual. And we don't have a magic wand that we can wave to make the fear of recurrence go away. But these tips are certainly just some ideas that may go into that toolbox. So we're committed to just walking the journey with everyone, and thanks for watching today.